Know that feeling? Like you're trying so hard to climb this mountain, maybe achieve a goal, but you just keep slipping back.
Oh, yeah. Or you have these ambitions, these desires, but something inside, it almost feels like it's working against you, like self-sabotage.
Exactly. It's so frustrating and honestly, pretty confusing sometimes. You feel like you're your own worst enemy.
It really can be disheartening. You see the summit, but you just can't seem to make steady progress.
Well, this time on the deep dive, we're going to explore that feeling. We're looking at some really powerful insights from Brianna Wiest's book, The Mountain Is You, Transforming Self-Sabotage to Self-Mastery.
It's a great source for understanding these internal roadblocks.
Our mission today is really to unpack some key lessons from it. We want to get a handle on these emotional blockages, think about healing and, how you can reclaim your own power.
But in a calm, sort of empowering way, the goal isn't some quick fix, right?
No, definitely not. It's about clarity, maybe finding some actionable steps, some starting points for you listening.
Exactly. Moving from that place of confusion, maybe even self-blame, towards curiosity, towards understanding yourself better.
Okay, so let's get into the first big idea. Lesson 1, maybe. The hidden roots of self-sabotage.
Right. And the key thing here is that it's often not obvious. It's subtle.
Yeah, the book uses this fascinating example about Carl Jung when he was a kid. He hit his head, apparently, and then had this thought like, oh, great, maybe I won't have to go back to school.
And then what happened? He started having fainting spells.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like his subconscious mind, totally outside his awareness, found this workaround, a substitute for the suffering he associated with school.
So it wasn't him consciously deciding, I'm going to faint to avoid school. It was deeper than that.
Precisely. It illustrates how these sabotaging behaviors can stem from things we aren't even consciously processing. Often irrational fears, things we've held on to for a long time without really examining them.
What kind of fears are we talking about?
Could be anything, really. Fear of not being smart enough, fear of being disliked. Sometimes really abstract stuff, like just a vague fear of being caught or exposed.
Caught. That's interesting. And the book says these fears can become almost like attachments.
Yes, and sometimes those vague, abstract fears are actually easier for our minds to handle. They might be masking a deeper, scarier, more legitimate fear.
Like the example in the book about being scared as a passenger in a car.
Exactly. That surface fear might actually represent something deeper, like a fear of losing control in life, or even a fear of moving forward. The car journey is symbolic.
Okay, wow. So if you're just trying to fix the surface thing, like forcing yourself to be okay in the car, you're missing the point.
Pretty much. If you don't address that root fear, that fear of losing control or whatever it is, you'll likely just keep hitting a wall. It won't resolve.
Makes sense. You have to dig deeper.
You have to understand the why behind the what's.
Okay, so that leads kind of naturally into the second lesson, doesn't it? The power of our unconscious stuff, negative associations, belief systems.
Absolutely. Wiest suggests that self-sabotage can be a huge clue, a sign that the story you tell yourself about who you are, well, might be out of date or just plain wrong.
Our self-concept, right? Built up over years from all sorts of inputs.
From everything. What parents said, friends thought, how we interpreted our own successes and failures. And our brains are wired to look for evidence that confirms what we already believe about ourselves.
Even if those beliefs are holding us back.
Especially then, sometimes. It feels familiar, maybe even safe in a weird way.
So those negative associations,
Uh-huh.
how do they play in? The book had an example about money, I think.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. Imagine you really want financial stability. You're working towards it consciously.
Okay.
But deep down, maybe from childhood, you picked up the idea that wealthy people are, I don't know, greedy or unhappy.
Ah, I see. So there's a conflict.
Exactly. Your conscious mind wants success, but your unconscious mind is whispering, wait, being worthy is bad. So it might subtly create obstacles, throw wrenches in the works.
And that could apply to anything, couldn't it? Like wanting a healthy relationship, but associating intimacy with getting hurt.
Precisely. Or wanting creative success, but being terrified of criticism because you link it to your self-worth. These hidden associations are incredibly powerful.
And then there are the belief systems themselves, the explicit things we tell ourselves.
Like, this is the maximum salary I can ever earn.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm just an anxious person. That's just who I am.
We kind of put ourselves in boxes.
We do. And often these beliefs come from our upbringing, or maybe just the desire to stay comfortable, even if it's an uncomfortable comfort zone, you know?
Yeah, the known discomfort feels safer than the unknown potential.
Right. Maybe believing struggle is noble, or that good things can't last. These beliefs really limit us.
So the key takeaway here for listeners is we need to become aware of these things.
Yes, that's the crucial first step, bringing those negative, maybe false beliefs into the light, questioning them.
Gently, though, not beating ourselves up about it. Exactly. With curiosity. And then starting that work of shifting towards beliefs that actually serve you, that align with what you truly want.
It means stopping the denial, maybe. Admitting when we're settling.
Yeah. It's about valuing yourself enough to say, okay, this pattern isn't working anymore. I deserve better than being stuck here. Mindfulness is key.
All right, this is really insightful. Let's move to the third lesson. This one really reframed things for me. Understanding the why behind the self-sabotaging habits themselves.
This is where it gets fascinating. Wiest argues that these habits, even the really destructive seeming ones, they aren't random.
They're not just mistakes or weaknesses.
No, often they're actually quite intelligently designed by the subconscious.
Intelligently. How so?
They're trying to meet some need that isn't being met directly, or cope with an emotion that's been pushed down, or express a desire that we've ignored.
So instead of just trying to force ourselves to stop the behavior.
Which, let's be honest, rarely works long term.
Right. Instead, we need to understand where it's coming from, like decode the message. Exactly. Become a compassionate detective for your own psyche.
The book gives some great examples here, like going back to someone who hurt you.
Yeah. The book suggests maybe your subconscious is prompting you to look at your earliest relationships from childhood. Why does that dynamic feel familiar? Maybe even weirdly comfortable.
Or attracting unavailable people.
That could be your inner self asking. Do you truly believe you're worthy of real commitment? It's bringing that question to the surface through your experiences.
Wow. What about feeling unhappy even when you seemingly have everything you thought you wanted?
That's often a sign that external achievements can't fill an internal emptiness. The real work needed is on your thoughts, your core beliefs, your inner peace, not chasing the next external thing.
Okay. And pushing people away.
Often a fear of vulnerability,
Right.
A defense mechanism. But it highlights a deep need for real, authentic connection that feels safe.
And the last one, automatically believing every negative thought or anxious feeling.
Wiest links that to maybe finding a strange comfort in worrying, in anticipating the worst. But the underlying need is probably for genuine clarity, for feeling grounded and secure within yourself.
So hidden within all these patterns, there's wisdom.
Yes, wisdom about our past, our traumas, our unmet needs. Understanding is the key to unlocking it, not just fighting it.
Okay, that leads perfectly into the final point we wanted to touch on today, the idea of triggers. Not just as bad things, but as guides.
Right. We often think of triggers as just signs of unresolved pain, which they can be. But they offer more than that. They give us deeper insights into our needs and desires.
So when we get triggered, it's not just about the past event.
Not solely. It's also about what that reaction tells us about ourselves now. Each
Yeah.
negative emotion, anger, sadness, jealousy, fear, it carries a message.
A message we maybe haven't learned to interpret yet.
Exactly. And because we don't know how to interpret it, or maybe we're scared of the feeling, we shut it down. We resist it.
And that makes us more sensitive over time.
It can, yeah. We become reactive because we're not processing. The trigger itself isn't the core problem. It's often our lack of skill in navigating the emotion it brings up.
So figuring out why something triggers us, that can actually be freeing.
Absolutely. It can be the catalyst for release, for positive change. It points directly to where healing or growth is needed.
So when we're trying to break these self-sabotaging patterns and we feel that resistance or anger or sadness bubble up, we shouldn't just push through.
Ideally, no. The book really emphasizes making space for those feelings. Resistance, anger, sadness, feeling inadequate. Let them come up. Observe them.
Observe them without necessarily acting on them or judging them.
Exactly. See them as messengers. What are they trying to tell you? Pushing through often just buries them deeper, only for them to pop up again later.
And what helps motivate us through that discomfort?
Reconnecting with your why, your inspiration, that vision you have for a better existence, for who you want to become. That can be a powerful anchor when the emotional waters get choppy.
Wow. Okay, there's so much to think about here. Feeling stuck, that sense of self-sabotage, it doesn't have to be a life sentence.
Not at all. By starting to understand these hidden roots, the fears, the beliefs, the unmet needs, and by learning to listen to our emotions, even the uncomfortable ones.
We can actually start to face that inner mountain.
Precisely. It's about turning towards yourself with compassion and curiosity.
So, for everyone listening, maybe take a moment later today or this week for some reflection. We've got a few prompts inspired by this, right?
Yeah, definitely. First, maybe think about a time recently you felt stuck or noticed that self-sabotage pattern kicking in. Ask yourself, what fears might have been lurking beneath the surface there?
Good one. Okay, second, reflect on a recurring pattern where you seem to block your own progress. What negative associations or limiting beliefs might be tied to the goal you're trying to reach?
Hmm, digging into those associations. And finally, consider something that triggered you recently. Instead of just focusing on the trigger itself, ask, what unmet need or deeper desire might that reaction be pointing towards?
Those are great starting points.
Remember, this isn't about finding flaws. It's about uncovering your own inner wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
You have the strength within you to understand yourself and create real, meaningful change.
Absolutely. This understanding, this self-awareness, it's the first crucial step towards reclaiming your power and moving towards that self-mastery the book talks about. It's the path up the mountain.